Authority, we have the Malta Tourism Observatory. And within the observatory, over the past few months, we have been working very hard to bring over an organization called P-Forum. P-Forum is an organization which was created some 10 years ago to bridge the gap between academia and practitioners, because there is an understanding that a lot of academic work, which is very valid, does not reach practitioners. Contrary to most other disciplines, where if you take the medical profession, the engineering profession, and many other professions, you have a very direct link at all levels between academic research and practitioners. Part of the output of P-Forum, which is now functioning within the Malta Tourism Observatory and the Malta Tourism Authority, is to invite foreign academics to hold sabbaticals in Malta. And with us this autumn and winter, we have Professor Marco Robledo, who is from the University of the Balearic Islands in Mallorca, part of Spain. And as part of his wide range of projects that he is undertaking while he is with us until January next year, Marco committed to carrying out, organizing a number of masterclasses. And this is the first masterclass. It is a masterclass which is very topical to the discussion that is going on in Maltese tourism at the moment. It's the move from volume to value. We hear quality as a term being used, sometimes abused, sometimes misunderstood. But basically, one of the ways of measuring quality is obviously value. Value, crudely put, is how much do they spend, but not only value in terms of expenditure, value in what they demand, value in how they demand it, how they consume it, and how sustainable is it. So Marco has kindly offered to do this masterclass, and thank you for being with us this afternoon. Its title is From Volume to Value, a Strategic Framework for Malta's Tourism Evolution. And we are all in different elements of the tourism industry. Some are working in it, some are studying to join it. And I'm sure that what we are about to receive from you, the people here and the people we have online as well, will find it a very useful tool for helping our thinking in this constant evolution from volume to value. Thank you very much. Mark.
Thank you for your introduction, Leslie. Especially, I want to take this opportunity to thank the MTA, especially you, Leslie, and Carlo, for giving me this opportunity to be here with you in this wonderful country. And I felt very welcome here. I feel like being home, and I truly thank you for all your hospitality. Now, do you want to know what the future of tourism looks like? Thinking about the future is a very important thing, because in the future is where we are going to spend the rest of our life. But I'm sure that some of you might be thinking, how preposterous of him pretending to know the future. Yeah? And if that's what you're thinking, lost the presentation. Yeah. That's what you're thinking. I have to give to say that you're right, because I know fortune teller. I don't have a crystal ball. So what I'm going to rely on is theory, models, and in research. As Corlewin says, there is nothing more practical than a good theory, and I'm going to use two frameworks to support the points that I'm going to be making in this presentation. The first one is developmental psychology. Developmental psychology is a discipline of psychology that studies how humans evolve throughout time, how humans evolve in terms of their worldviews, values, motivations, and so on. And I'm going to use developmental psychology as a background discipline for this presentation, and it will become center stage in a future presentation that I want to make. And here is going to be somewhere in the background. So for you just to know that I'm like using this structure. Yeah. Basically, what I'm going to use here is a model developed by two authors, my good friend Joe Pine here in the picture, and Jace Gilmore. These guys wrote this book here, The Experience Economy. Maybe some of you are familiar with this book. It was a best-selling book in the business category. And if nowadays we are talking in business environment, in tourism, destinations, all the time about experiences, is because of these guys. They were visionary enough to put forth the proposition in this book that the experience economy would be like the next level that would substitute the service economy we are in now. And we are seeing that this forecast is becoming true, increasing, because of this importance that managing experiences is having now. I'm lucky enough to have Joe as a good friend and a collaborator. Very recently, we wrote an article together where we were kind of expanding the model, incorporating elements from developmental psychology, the theory that I told you about, to make this model that I'm going to tell you now richer and more comprehensive. This is the model that they presented. Very briefly, because what I'm going to be more interested on is the applications that this model should have in terms of thinking about the future of tourism, in particular here in Malta, what implications this model has in terms of our tourism development for Malta. What they're saying in this model is that the model is called the progression of economic value, by the way. Yeah. So what they're saying is that there's been an evolution, and there is an evolution in terms of business and in terms of the history of economy, where we are evolving from a focus on commodities to a focus on goods, to a focus on delivering services, to a focus on staging experiences, and the next step that is starting to show up, the focus will be in guiding experiences. I told you this focus that is like the strategic focus that companies should have, companies, destinations, organizations in general, has a correlation with the kind of economy that we have. So if you think about it, focus on commodities was the kind of focus that we had in the agricultural economies of the past. Yeah, and then with the industrial economy, the focus was in manufacturing goods. In the service economy, that everybody's saying that we are in the developed world in a service kind of economy, the focus is delivering services, delivering quality. And we are getting in this level of the experience economy, where the focus is staging experience. And the kind of economy of the future, and right now Joe is writing a book about that, is going to be the transformation economy. The focus is going to be on guiding transformations. Just with this brief introduction to this model, sure you can like think about tourism and what do you think is the future of tourism now? Is tourism mostly a commodity? Tourism mostly a product? Allow me to change the wording so it's something more related to the kind of wording we use in the tourism industry. Is it a service? Is it mostly experiences, or is focused on transformations? What do you think? Anybody? What would you say? Where are we? Huh?
It's a mix.
It's a mix. Yes, that's a very good answer. I always tell my students, my management students and tourism students, because I teach management in general, different courses in management, that in management, always the right answer is it depends. So it's a mix of that. Yeah. But where if you had to find the center of gravity, what would it be? Experiences. Yeah. It would be whether in services or experiences, but the right answer is a mix. Yeah. It's going to depend on the company, the organization, the destination. Yeah. And the general understanding is that the tourism industry belongs to the service industry. That's we normally we economics explain. But this transition is real in the tourism industry. So let's see the different levels and how do they apply to tourism and how the mindset of the industry has changed or will have to change as we progress to each of the different levels. So let's start with commodities. Probably you are thinking, well, commodity, the level of commodities doesn't apply to tourism. Yeah, because what is a commodity? Can you give me examples of commodities? Anyone? Food. Yeah. Today I went to Welby's and I bought bananas. Yeah. A banana is a commodity. Yeah. What are the characteristics of commodity? Tangibility. What else? What is the defining element of a commodity?
It's a basic. It's like a basic need.
It addresses a need, but anything here will address different kind of needs at different level. Tangible, yeah, we said that. What? Huh?
You say, when you're saying everything here addresses a need, but the higher ones are kind of like higher order needs. They're a bit like a bit
So
like
these address a very primary need. Yeah. And in terms of business marketing, the defining element of a commodity is that it's basically undifferentiated. So when I go and buy bananas, what is my deciding element? Normally it's price. Yeah? Price and convenience. I'm gonna go to the nearest shop. I'm not gonna go to Gozo to buy bananas if they are cheaper there. Yeah. I'm gonna buy them near where I live. Yeah. Today I wanted to have bananas for lunch. Yeah. So I went to Welby's, that is the nearest shop here, the nearest supermarket. But if I have different supermarkets, let's say that I have Welby's, that I have Lidl, and I have another food store close to my place, I'm gonna choose where to buy my bananas based on the cheapest bananas. So obviously, tourism is not a commodity, but if we think about commodities like in a wider sense, and according to these principles, yeah, I can apply it to the tourism industry. Look at this. I'm starting high. Yeah, different hotel rooms. They are nice, all of them. Yeah, probably 4-star or even 5-star hotels. Yeah, but they all look basically the same. Yeah. So based only on the appearance of the room, where am I going to stay? Probably in the one that I find through Booking or through whatever searcher, yeah, the one that is the cheapest. Yeah,
Or close to the city,
sorry,
or closer to the city center.
or closer to the city center.
Or transportation. So there,
That's the other aspect we highlighted about the commodities. You know, I'm gonna find the more convenient one, and among them, the cheapest. Yeah. So
the cheapest assuming the same quality.
assuming the same quality,
Yeah.
because we are seeing that this is basically, you know,
Same.
and I'm generalizing here. We could go into, I like this one better, you know, but they are basically the same. They are not really very differentiated. Yeah. So let's talk about the airlines. What is the difference between an airline and the other? The painting, the logo? Yeah. There's not much of a difference between most of the airlines that we fly with. Yeah. So we decide based on convenience, timetables, routes, etc., but then we decide on price. No wonder there are very few differentiated airlines. Think about Emirates, we could think about, you know, some airlines that they are maybe a bit different. They stand out from the crowd, yeah, and not so much, yeah. But no wonder how the airline industry is the industry where the low-cost model originated, which is one of the few innovations that started in the tourism industry. Yeah, the low-cost model was started in the 1970s by Southwest Airlines, yeah? Which is, funny enough, one of those airlines that stand out for doing things differently. So it's a low-cost model, but it's a highly differentiated company as well. So these airlines, not the ones here, but in general, yeah, most of the airline business is a commodity business because they are not differentiated enough from one another, apart from those factors. Yeah, there is a wonderful book, a classic, by John Ritter, a sociologist, that is called The McDonaldization of Society. I don't know if any of you is familiar with this book. I highly recommend this book. You know, it's not a new book, you know, but it's still highly relevant. And what John Ritter is saying is that in our world, everything is increasingly better, but at the same time, increasingly the same. You know, we are living in a more and more McDonaldized world. Yeah, where everything everywhere is the same. We were talking about that the other day, Leslie and me in our car, in your car. Yeah. So look at destinations. Yeah, you go to a city center of any European destination, and they all look the same. You find the same McDonald's, you find the same Starbucks, you find the same H&M's, Zara's, whatever. Yeah? I'm glad Malta is still keeping some of its authenticity. I'm sure that you're saying that it's lost a lot of authenticity throughout the years, but when I come here, I still find authenticity in Malta. The kind of authenticity that I don't find in other European cities. Yeah? Doesn't matter if it's not perfect, maybe the farther up north we go, the more perfect and the better things work, but the more the same, yeah, and indifferentiated things are there. Yeah. So that's the first takeaway I want to give you this lecture. Yeah. Takeaway number one is don't be a commodity. Because if you are competing as a commodity, the only basis of your competition is gonna be price. Price means volume. Yeah, because the only way to make money competing in low prices is that you need a lot of people buying that. Yeah, so that's the from volume value. You know, you are in the commodity, you are in a volume kind of a strategy. Yeah, your main strategy is going to be volume. Yeah? And destinations in the past, yeah, have been still today have been competing on volume, on attracting as many tourists as possible. And this is not sustainable anymore, is it? Yeah. So we need to change that strategy. Not only a strategy where you are struggling to make money, yeah, because the margins are very small. It's a strategy that is unsustainable from many points of view, social point of view, from an environmental point of view, from many different points of view. So we need to change that strategy. So in a world where everything is the same, you need to try and stand out. Yeah. So we need to move into the other levels. Yeah. So what is the next level? Next level was yeah. Now, just let me ask you a question. What commodities do you think you have here in Malta that you need to make them evolve into the next levels in the tourism industry?
So history in a condensed area.
Say that again.
History in a very condensed area. You don't have to travel long distances from one historical site to another.
So that's an advantage.
I think it's an advantage.
A great advantage. No, but my question is, in your tourism portfolio, let's call it like that, yeah, what are your commodities? What are the things that they are not differentiated enough? Certain hotels, yeah. There are many hotels that are the typical low-level hotels, you know, economic hotels, yeah. That obviously they are fulfilling a role, yeah. But their problem is that their marketing is not going to be powerful enough because they don't have differentiated elements. I will give you an example later. Sure. The evolution of a chain of hotels from having this kind of products to moving to other products. Any other ideas?
Perhaps the short-term rentals.
The short-term rentals, yeah.
Because there is no name, no brand, nothing.
Actually,
It's on the location. Perfect property. That's the price. You
Yeah.
want an apartment in St. Julius.
Yeah.
It's the cheapest price.
Yeah. Absolutely. Good point. Yeah. I also included as an example, Paisley. You go to Paisley. Yeah. Is that the way Apache? Sorry about that.
There's no.
There's no peace.
So Apache, yeah, is the same as Magaluf in Mallorca, San Antonio in Ibiza, any other party area in the world.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to come go party, you know, bachelor, let's organize now is becoming increasingly as we it's a development that before we didn't have. Normally before you organize bachelor parties in your area, in your city, you know, but now everybody goes for a bachelor party to a European city, you know. So where are you going to choose? And how are you going to choose it? Depending on price, many times, you know, because it doesn't matter. Where you go, you are going to find exactly the same, and you are looking for something very basic at the same time. Yeah.
Not only if you're traveling to attend something like that,
Mm-hmm.
this could be, in a way, an added value, but it's there. You come here to do something else, but then you want to go partying one
Absolutely.
of the nights,
I
right?
mean, it's something that you need to have in any city, you know, and the more concentrated, the better. Yeah, so I prefer to have the party area really concentrated than having it spread it all over the city, where you are having a lot of disturbances to the, here they know what you're looking for, and probably there's no many locals living there because they wouldn't be able to stand it, and so on, you know. And you have special regulations for this area, and so that's why they are concentrated. So I'm not saying that it's not something that you shouldn't have. I'm saying that if you are competing and marketing your products, you know, that probably you are not marketing overseas your party. But in some cases you do. In Mallorca we do. For many years we've been marketing, or not really marketing, but there are many people, we don't even need to market it. They knew that in Mallorca you were going to find party areas, in Magaluf, in the area of Arenal, and so on. So the Germans will go to area of Arenal, and the British and so on will come to Magaluf. You know, so.
I have to excuse myself, I have to go to Parliament.
Okay.
Sorry. It's really interesting. I was telling Leslie.
Thanks for joining us.
I'll watch the recording.
Recording.
Okay, please.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Ciao. Scusa.
So let's move now to the next level. Next level is products. Yeah, I know. So products is a derivation of the previous one, but what you need to do here is trying to improve a bit your product to make it different. Yeah, but initially it's part of the same story. Yeah, the focus, and when I'm saying products, what I mean in particular is a focus on the tangibles. Yeah, the tourism industry in its origins was particularly focused on the tangibles, and it was working like an industry. Yeah, because we were saying that this level is typical of the industrial economy. So we were working not as like a service, but as a manufacturing kind of model, you know, where you were preparing packages, yeah, airlines, tour operator, the tour operator mediating, and you were, rather than moving, I don't know, your cars throughout a chain production system, you were moving tourists through this chain production system. Yeah, and the focus was on the tangibles, on the location, on the destination, on the hotel, on the restaurants, on the tangible elements. Yeah, and when things started to change, and there was more and more competition, some destinations started to say, "Wow, this is not increasing." You know, because the beginning tourism was like agriculture. It's something that you don't need to do anything about it, you know, grows on its own. You need to water it a bit, yeah, but you don't need to do anything about it. Every year, the number of tourists were growing. But in the 80s, it was the first time, you know, in the 90s, the crisis of the 90s, where some destinations started to question, you know, that things are not growing steadily as they should. So we need to devise new strategies. You know, and one of the affected destinations, yeah, because of that crisis and so on, was Spain. Yeah. So what Spain did is saying we cannot compete any longer based on price. We need to compete on quality. Yeah. So they created quality standards, quality systems to position ourselves as a quality destination, and trying to differentiate ourselves from the increasing competition, because it was all the Mediterranean selling similar things, you know, commoditized and say party. Yeah. So where do you go? It doesn't matter if I go to Mykonos or if I go to Mallorca. Doesn't matter if I go to Benidorm. Doesn't matter, you know, I'm getting basically the same thing. Obviously, there are differences, but the same thing. Yeah. So they decided to compete on the basis of quality. That's we were one of the pioneers to develop these quality systems. Malta has a quality standards as well, managed by the MTA. Yeah, and that was the evolution from an increasingly commoditized industry to an industry that was trying to differentiate itself through quality, and through standardization. You know, what you want to achieve here is consistency. Yeah, I want to make sure that you are going to receive the same service if I'm a chain of hotel. If you come to your to one hotel, let's say in Mallorca, or if you go to another hotel in Valencia, that is my same chain. Yeah, or if I'm an international chain of hotels, if you go to the, I don't know, to the Marriott here in St. Julian's, or if I go to the Marriott in San Francisco, yeah, you're going to get the same kind of standard service. So there are no surprises. Yeah. The next level is service. Here is where we are starting to really compete the basis of value. You know, at the product level, you are starting to differentiate and compete on the basis of value. But here, you are increasingly doing this change into value rather than into volume. Yeah, because in service, the main characteristic of a service, or where you put the focus, the spotlight, is on the intangibility of the service. The main problem with differentiating a strategy based on product or based on the tangibles is that it's easily replicable. Yeah, it's fast. It's easy to copy. Yeah, anything that you devise, any product innovation, just think about AI, chatbots, to talk about recent innovation, robots. Yeah, you put a robot in your hotel, and let's imagine that this works wonderfully and customers are extremely pleased, and the hotel next door gonna see that they got a robot. That's saving money. I'm not talking about the ethical implications, active implications either, you know, talking about money only for the sake of the argument. Yeah, not because it's not important. Yeah, but they see the robot and say, okay, where have they bought this robot? I want a robot. So it's easily replicable. And suddenly you will have all the industry with this innovation in place. And if we differentiate the intangibles, we differentiate on people, based on culture, corporate culture. Yeah, that's not so easily copied. Yeah, if I have Kylian Mbappé in my team, yeah, sorry, I'm a Real Madrid supporter. You can see that from the player it shows. Yeah, but if I have Kylian Mbappé in my team, I have an edge over other teams because not so easy to have a player of the caliber of Kylian Mbappé. Yeah. So when I'm differentiating on the basis of the intangibles, yeah, is something that the competition cannot replicate so easily. Yeah. Now we're getting to the levels that are the levels of the future. Next level is experiences. Yeah. What is the difference between a service and an experience? An experience, or we examine this difference, let me tell you, that experience is nowadays the more abused word in the business jargon. Yeah. Same as we were talking about quality as an abused word. Quality is another very abused word, but maybe it's fading out. No, that is not still relevant. Obviously, this model is a transcendent include kind of model. It's like layers of the onion. Yeah. In the experience level, you need the service, you need the product. We'll see that now. Yeah, it's not that I'm in experience level, so I'm doing something totally different. No, you need to include your a good service level and a good product level. Right? You with me? Yeah. So experience is a very abused word because now organizations are realizing that this is the basis of differentiation and competition. So even if you are not still competing in experiences, you are saying that you are competing in experience. Same happened with quality. In the past, all the slogans of the companies were saying customer comes first, quality is very important in my company. All the slogans, yeah, all the promotion that companies were using were variations on those topics. Nowadays, the hot topic is experience. I'm offering the best experience for my customer. But it's even worse in this case because it's not like they are still not having experience, it's that they are using experience as a substitute for service. So they have a confusion in their minds that experience is the same as service. And it's nothing at all like service. Service is a lower level that you need to support the experience. Yeah. So an experience is something that happens in your mind. Think about your the most important experiences in your life. You will think about highlights of your life. And I had my first child when I graduated. For those of you that are younger, you know, those are the kind of experiences that stick. And this is something that only happens inside you. Yeah. And you need to be a part of it. So a service is something that is delivered, where you are a passive element. Yeah. I go to my room and suddenly I find that the bed is made. I don't even need to be there for my room to be ready for me. Yeah. I leave in the morning, all the towels in the floor, bed and so on. Then I come back and everything is spotless. Yeah, that's a service. That's the nature of a service. When we are talking about experiences, experiences are lived. You need to be there. You need to experience that. Otherwise, there's no possible experience. Yeah. So, for you to understand, yeah, experience is something that happens within you. Yeah. So it's an emotional and psychological event. Yeah. Where products are like the props. Yeah? Think about movie language or theater language. They are the props that you need as a provider to offer those experiences or to make sure that the customers are having those experiences. Well, you're going to need that technology. You're going to need an infrastructure. You're going to need things, yeah, for that experience to happen. Imagine Disney World, yeah, theme park, Popeye theme park. Yeah, I went to Popeye theme park with my kids. Yeah. So you need things there. You need a whole set that was built for the Robert Altman's movie. Yeah, those are the props for the experience to happen. And then you need service as the stage. Yeah, because you need actors performing there. Yeah, you need people dressed as Popeye and Olive and the strong guy. I don't remember. I don't even know the name in English because in Spanish we call it differently. You know, Pluto. Yeah. Okay. So Pluto. So you need that. So it's again like an onion. Yeah. And the experience is the result of all that. Okay? So experience is something that to happen, you need many of those elements, maybe not all, but it needs to be something immersive. I need to immerse myself in that experience. It needs to be participatory, yeah, means I need to be a part of it, yeah. It has to be, or many times it's interactive, so it's about connection with others, connection with the locals, yeah, connection with the culture, connection with the place, yeah. And it's better if it is based on a narrative. There should be, or is more powerful, if there is a story behind it. Yeah, so go to the mobile theme park again to carry on with the same example, and there's a story behind it, a story that you know, because if you are old enough, maybe not you, yeah. In my case, I used to see the Popeye cartoons in television. Yeah, so I know what it's all about. Yeah, and I remember. And the more authentic it is, the better. But you need a high degree of authenticity. So I wanna experience in Malta for me is interacting with the locals. Experiencing Malta for me is eating the food, typical Maltese food, yeah, and even learning how to cook that food. Somebody teaches me how to cook a Maltese dish, yeah, that's an experience for me because fulfills all those elements. So this is the things that you need to provide to move into the experience economy. And it's a totally different thing of the things you needed to remain in the service economy. Let's go to the latest, highest level, transformations. And when you think about transformations in terms of tourism, can we provide transformations in tourism? Is tourism a transformative industry? What are your views about that? Because when I'm talking about transformation, the transformation economy, yeah, and there is already a transformation economy, maybe they don't know it, but there is, yeah. It's a kind of economy where the objective, the purpose, is to transform people into a different self. Yeah. So there is an evolution from the old you to a new you. Think about typical transformational industries. Yeah. Educational industry. You are students. You can see it in your uniforms. Yeah. Why did you decided to study the degree that you're studying?
Understand the history and gain the knowledge.
Mm-hmm. And
Transform this all knowledge in my workplace.
okay, yeah. So you want to become a professional. Okay, that's the objective. You enter. Yeah, you want to learn and you want to. This is all very nice, but at the end of the day, the final objective is that you become a professional. You enter as your old self was a non-professional. Your new self will be a professional, somebody that the industry can look for, be sure that you're gonna do your job well, and that you are prepared to do that. Yeah. So the focus of the whole educational system is in transforming people. I was saying, even if they don't know that, I'm from a university, and my university doesn't understand very well that their objective is transforming people. If you tell them, they say, okay, yeah. But what are you doing to transform those people? And maybe that you are not doing all the things that you should do for this transformation to take place. Because their focus is on delivering knowledge, providing a service and things like that. So they are thinking with the wrong mindset. You allow me to say that, because transforming people means guiding these people and doing things, to achieve that objective. When you have this focus in mind, the kind of actions that you're going to do are going to be different. Another industry whose mission is that the healthcare industry. What is the objective of the healthcare industry, transformationally wise?
Sick and
Get out.
Yeah.
Cure.
I'm sick, now I'm cured. That's the objective. Yeah. So it's a transformation that happens in you thanks to the cares they are giving you. Yeah. So it's a transformational industry. So let's talk tourism. Is tourism a transformational industry? Yes, you're saying yes. Why?
One hopes that you come back with new views and renewed views.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I would say
But that means you learn from the experience.
absolutely.
So we're moving back to experience.
Of course. Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah. For you to be transformed, you have to live a certain number of experiences. Transformation doesn't happen spontaneously, doesn't happen overnight, So your mission as an industry, is gonna be to provide transformational experiences. Those experiences that you are providing, hopefully, will result in a transformation. Because someday, maybe, let's say that I go to a spiritual retreat in Nepal. So I go to a monastery there, and I spent 1 month in silence meditating in this monastery. Yeah? I mean, this is a transformational experience. If you have ever experienced something like that. Yeah? And when you are there, you think that you are transformed. You think that you are Buddha. I've been there. I mean, I see many people in this kind of environments, and they talk to you like they are super enlightened. Yeah. And then they come back home. Yeah. And 1 week later, they are back to their own self. The enlightenment has dissipated. Yeah. So yes, you had a transformational experience. You had many big experiences, but did it happen? Did it result in a real transformation? Maybe not. So one of the differences with services, for example, the level of services, is that in a service, I'm sure that I'm going to deliver the service. You ask me for lunch, and I order certain elements in the menu. I mean, I may like them or not, but you are going to deliver them to me. Okay? That's for sure that you're going to deliver. Better or worse, that's a different thing. Yeah, but you are going to deliver. In the level of transformations, you cannot deliver. Yeah, you cannot promise a transformation. You can only say that you are going to create the conditions for transformations to happen. Because out of this spiritual retreat, the best Lama in the world, yeah, some people will be transformed, some people will be really enlightened, the vast majority are going to remain the same. Yeah, right? Even if they think they are not.
What I was going to say is it also partly because we try to commodify transformations. You know, I'm looking at your photo of the Camino. It's increasingly becoming more commodified. Your luggage can travel ahead of you. All the hardship is being taken out of it. You know, your restaurant booking when you arrive at the cathedral, and you mightn't even bother going into the cathedral because your restaurant booking's waiting. And
But that's choice, I believe.
it's a choice, but the temptation kind of is there. The
Absolutely.
ease of
Yeah,
having that
yeah.
experience is
I
great.
mean, that you raise the crucial point in the transformation economy. You know, this is gonna become big.
It's a
I'm
cat and mouse.
sure of it. I mean, I'm an expert in this. I'm working all day long in this, and I'm seeing that it's happening. You know, based on trends, on the the big risk is that the bigger it becomes, the more people are going to get into this playing field, and the more commodified it's going to be. So when we commodify something, we it becomes like a supermarket. You know, it's the supermarket of spirituality in this case, or things like that. So yeah, that's a big danger.
Like
There will be the players that believe it, and those that are there because it has become a fad, fashionable, so I have to be there and I have to offer that. Yeah.
But
There is another question there. I'll be back to you.
you consider language learning as transformational.
Yeah.
So don't you think that it has also become a bit of a commodity as well?
For me, you know, here are examples. For me, tourism in itself is one of the most transformational industries there are. That's my main point. Then, within tourism, there are different kinds of tourism, because transformational tourism is not a typology, you know, it's something that is transversal, yeah, that can happen in any kind of tourism, yeah, because tourism in itself means taking you out of your comfort zone, going to a different environment, and having the experience of what anthropologists said, the experience of the other. By meeting somebody, you know, from a different culture, a different language, here I am, you know, interacting all day long with all these people, you know, that in my past I have met one, around two, yeah, two of them, yeah. So I don't have a long experience of meeting multi people. Now I'm interacting all day long with people that many ways they think similar to me because we are all Mediterranean and so on, but there are things that are different. This encounter with the other makes me question my assumption, question my values, and this makes me grow. So every time you are in a foreign country, and the more different from your own, the more possibilities is an opportunity for you to be transformed and experience, to grow, to learn, to question your what is your worldviews and so on. Having said that, and so even if you go to Batesville, to Batesville, sorry, yeah, Batesville, to Batesville, yeah, you might be transformed. Maybe you drink too much, you take too many drugs, and the next day, or in the middle of an ethylic coma, the Virgin Mary appears to you. I don't know. It might happen, you know, but the chances for that to happen are small. But if you study overseas, for example, you know, every time that I've been lucky enough to study in London, I did my master's degree there, to do an Erasmus in Paris, to study in Cornell University. Every time I've had those experiences, I became like a new self. I was a different person. My kids are gonna come back to Spain as totally different people, more mature, more prepared, different. because of this experience. You know, the younger you are, the more chances, you know,
Mhm.
of that to happen. So educational tourism, coming back to your point, is a highly transformative experience. Is it becoming commoditized? Yes. And that's what you need to do, to really incorporate elements of transformational, that are really transformational in that experience. So I'm not only teaching you languages, I'm giving you something else that nobody else is doing. Yeah. Many people that come here to study English, at the end of the day, yeah, okay, my parents are sending me to Malta to study English, but what I want to do is have fun and do other things, you know. So why don't you incorporate in that experience? I have an article recently published where the result of this article was a research article where that in educational tourism, the real transformation happens outside the classroom. Yeah, doesn't happen in the classroom. It happens outside. When you're traveling, when you're interacting with the local, no surprise, you know, because we all know. I remember my first day, the induction week. We had an induction week when I went to study to London, my MBA, and there was a professor who told us, "Don't let your studies get in the way of your education." That's the most valuable lesson they gave me during my stay in London. You know, that was so true. Don't let your studies get in the way of your education. Yeah.
Maybe we will be discussing this, but this entire model, so far we're looking at the visitor. What about the local people? In the sense that with tourism, the local people will also have experiences and will also be transformed. We're seeing this with the movement anti-tourism, for example. And whether it's, I don't know, and as a result, then even the experience, so it's like a vicious circle. I mean, I visit or I travel to, I was in Lisbon last week for a conference. Find the experience. My Portuguese friends are never told me, listen, don't go there and don't go there because that's all tourism. So my concern is not about the model, because the model actually is, I like it very much. My concern is more what is happening to the local people. I mean, here I have colleagues from university and my colleagues from ITS and even from MTA. We're from Malta. And experiences. And my friends know that I'm into my research and about sports and diving tourism. And yet, the influx which we're having is inevitably then affecting even the local environment, for example. So I don't know whether you plan or the model look, or you go to discuss this later on. That's why I said otherwise I should.
Yeah, some of it is gonna go in my conclusions. Yeah, but you're raising a wonderful point, and you're totally right. I mean, the tourists are transformed by these kind of experiences, but the locals are also transformed. In the past, if I follow your reason, very positively. Nowadays, starting to be in some destination or in a good number of destinations, even negative, you know, because our lives, for example, I come from Mallorca, so I can talk very well about that. Yeah, we are probably the biggest laboratory in the Mediterranean of these kind of things, you know, so we suffer that firsthand and very early. So obviously the effects of over tourism is transforming, is having a negative.
I think again we have, let me call them warning signs in the past few years. And for that, what my daughter was told me by the latest way to say project is PV. Everything has been abbreviated for social media.
Yeah.
So no, I don't say, if I tell them, she looked at me, so no, she's going to PV. So I had to update my knowledge of how to mention it.
So you are getting
And even this thing of social media.
these early warning signs and so on. Yeah.
Speeding up things. Before, I go back and I say, oh, I like this or I didn't like it. Nowadays, if you go to parts of it and you see 40 minutes, and then some people drunk on the floor, I put a picture, I post it, and it's all over the world in half a minute.
You're totally right. And that's why it's, nowadays, one of the advantages of the social media and all these technology developments is that these warnings, maybe before were more difficult to see. Now you have all this information. You know what is happening in Barcelona, and you know what is happening in Venice, and you know what is happening in Amsterdam. Today, my wife was sending me a reel of a video that they shot in the middle of the street of a conflict in Valencia between tourists and locals. They were almost fighting, because the tourists were coming with the bikes in the small streets, and they were so fed at the neighbors of that situation, and they were doing a demonstration and so on. So these kind of conflicts are happening. And it's the negative effects and the negative impacts of over tourism. So I'll come back to this. Now I'm going to focus on the positive. Well, let's talk about the positive impact. Because Mallorca in the 60s, and you were talking about Malta, what was it? It was a really undeveloped area of Spain, one of the most underdeveloped areas of Spain, where people had to immigrate to foreign countries to make a living, and there was nothing in Mallorca. Parents moved to Mallorca, and my father was destined to work in Mallorca. I was born in Mallorca, but my parents are not originally from there. They were a bit surprised because they were coming from mainland Spain. The level of development in Mallorca that was inferior to the level of development they were used to. Now, in Mallorca, we used to be the area of Spain with the highest per capita income. We are not anymore. And that's because of the effects of over-tourism. At some point, until the 2000s, we were the place in Spain with the highest per capita income, a very wealthy area where everybody was benefiting from the tourism. Benefiting economically, but benefiting as well in terms of, we are islanders, we are close people. And because of the effects of tourism, we have become so cosmopolitan, and so, that's the positive effects of having all people from all those countries. And that's why, because of the Austrians and the Germans were coming there all over the place, we are much more environmentally aware, for example, than other places, maybe in Spain, because the people from the north are more advanced in these kind of things. So there are many positive effects. Tourism, do not forget it, and transformative effects over the local population. What we need to do, and this model is going into that direction, and this is going to be one of my conclusions, hopefully, is that when you are moving up this ladder, your kind of tourism, because the tourists, you will see that probably in the next masterclass more explicitly, the tourists and the general population have a higher level of consciousness. So they are more conscious, so they are looking for more sustainable products and so on. And these kind of things to work well, and then coming back to your question, doing green, they need to be small. They cannot be so massive. They work better at the small level, at the kind of slow tourism level, if you want to call it like that. So educational tourism is highly transformational. Voluntary tourism, for example, is another example of very transformational tourism. Here we have spiritual tourism. You talk about the Camino de Santiago. I think it was you who said that it's becoming banalized and so on. But the power is still there, even if so many people go there just trekking and so on, without any further convictions or not looking for anything else. But even these kind of people, sometimes they become transformed because the Camino is kind of magical, and really transforms you.
But Professor,
Mm.
I think transformation is quite a big word, and maybe the model should also consider temporary transformation versus permanent ones. Because when we are on holiday, we are in a different mindset than
Yeah.
at home. I compare this to a diet.
Mm.
Many people go on a diet, but few people keep it as a lifestyle.
Sure.
And when you are on a diet, you're in a different mindset, sort of, and then you go back to your routine.
Yeah.
So I think as a model, it should take into consideration these factors.
And it does, it certainly does, because that's the one of the effects, and that's why I was saying that the only thing that you can do as a provider, you know, is to try and create the conditions for people to transform, but you cannot ensure
Sure.
that these people are going to transform. You know, they will transform or they will not, you know, or maybe this seed that you're planting today, you know, it's gonna grow 10 years later because you need, you know, a lot of water for that to happen. And so that was an initial seed planted in you and then grows or it never does. You don't know. So you cannot promise transformation. Yeah. And obviously you need to make the difference between transformation is a kind of change that is a big word, as you said, you know. So sometimes what you can do is do a small kind of a change in the person, not a big transformation. Yeah.
It's the accumulation of
It's the accumulation. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. So yes. So any kind of tourism offering that makes you healthier, that makes you wiser, that makes you, transforms you spiritually, that makes you even wealthier, you know, is transformative in itself. Yeah. And I think that this is one of the fundamental elements in tourism. And I was saying that it's one of the most transformative industries in the world because tourism has a characteristic that I think that no other industry has in terms of transformation. Yeah. What is the main problem with transformation? Many times, resistance. You know, even you've heard of our comfort zones. Yeah. People have problems getting out of their comfort zones. We are resistant to change in nature. Some people more, some people less. And we are resistant to change. So that we don't want to change, even if we are in a very hard place. Yeah, maybe we prefer, or unconsciously, yeah, we prefer to stay in the hard place than move into the new place. There's been studies, yeah, in medicine of people that the doctor has says you need to change your ways or you are gonna die in 10 years. You need to diet, you need to stop smoking, you need to do this, you need to do that. Yeah? And maybe they say, okay. Red flag, this is an early warning, I need to do that. And they stop, they do that, they diet for 1 month, and then they get even fat, you know, after the, or, you know, these kind of things. I've read the studies where 95% of the people didn't change their ways, even if the doctor told them that they were gonna die. That's the biggest threat that you have in your life. Yeah? So we prefer to be in our comfort zone. Yeah. So this element of resistance to change. Yeah. Your students know that you want to become professionals and you have an exam next week. Yeah, I say, okay, this next week. I'll do it tomorrow. Today I'm tired. Tomorrow I need to go to the gym. I have a tennis match. The day after tomorrow, today I'm going out with my friends. You know, so you are procrastinating because It's tough. Yeah, what you're asked to do is tough. But you get lost into immediate gratifications and immediate temptations. And so at the end of the day, you fail your exam, or you need to leave the university because you didn't pass your exam. You abandon. Yeah. Same in healthcare. Same, changing is very difficult. That's why we are saying, yeah, or you are saying most of the people don't change. Yeah, because it's difficult. If it was easy, everybody would change. We will all be our better selves, and we're not. Yeah, psychologically, physically, spiritually, you name it. Yeah, so it's difficult to get out of our comfort zones. What happens in tourism? That is the only industry that I can think of where this resistance to change doesn't happen. I'm going on holidays. How wonderful. Yeah. I'm going to interact with weird people from weird cultures. Yeah. And you receive it as a gift. So you are extremely open to this environment, whereas in other kind of environments, you are not open to it, you are closed. Or hospital. So you close yourself. Right? Whereas tourism, you expand yourself. Yeah. So that's a big advantage for the tourism industry to be really transformational.
I'm thinking the English breakfast, already tourism from England catered for the English tourists by providing a kind of home from home. I mean, that's why a lot of people are open to experience, because they still find a level of familiarity. And for a transformation to really take place, should the host community bend like that, or should it not bend to create the opportunity for transformation?
We're already bending.
Yes, we have, and that's what I'm trying to say, that
We're
sometimes I
offering
think
quick with pineapple.
we've been too much, and perhaps we shoot ourselves in the foot when it comes to the opportunity for transformation. I mean, I've been going to the same bar for 30 years every day for a tea and toast, tea in a glass and toast on a Pirate's plate. And increasingly now I have more arguments with them to put away the new trendy plates they bought. I still want my Pyrex and I still want my tea in a glass. And I keep telling them, you're going to change and become like everybody else. But, they want to be more like Starbucks,
Absolutely.
And
the answer is going to be who do you want your customers to be? Because there's going to be different kinds of people. There are going to be people that are open to transformation, and there are going to be people that are not open to transformation. When they are in a tourism experience. Increasingly, people that go on tourism, younger people and new generation, they are open to experience their country or the country that they are going. As authentic as possible and as different as possible and so on, but there are people that are not looking for that. There are whole destinations in Mallorca, whole resorts in Mallorca, where is a replica of a British neighborhood, with the difference that there is the beach in front and then there are hotels all over the place. But you have the British pub, you have even the plugs in the hotel, they have the 3 legs like here, and so on. So it's like being in England with good weather. So yeah, these kind of people are not looking for changes. They go, their tourism experience is to relax and to find a replica of home as close as possible, whereas there are other people that are increasingly a bigger market, I would say. In the past, probably the lion's share were these kind of people. And that's why in Mallorca there are whole destinations that are like that, but now it's changing, that people are looking to experience the local food. They are looking to experience the local music. This kind of hotels that I'm telling you about, the animation, the entertainment, were British bands, playing British music.
There is a famous complaint that was submitted to Thomas Cook.
Mhm.
We wish to complain that there were too many Spanish people in Spain. That was a classic.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, so let me tell you how a particular company has evolved from the lowest steps on the ladder to the highest or to the highest steps on the ladder. This company is called Fiesta Hotels, or it was called Fiesta Hotels. It's a company originally from Ibiza, yeah, and they have a good number of hotels. Now they have around 100 hotels in the whole world. But they started at the typical 3-star hotels in Ibiza, Mallorca, Benidorm, these areas, looking like this. Yeah, this is an existing hotel, so it's not a picture of those times in the 70s, you know. So that's what it looks like. The typical 3-star hotel that they commercialized through operators, Thomson, Thomas Cook, and so on, and cheap, yeah, in a sun and sea destination, party, and so on. That's what they were selling. Very economic prices. They were commodities. Then, in the 90s, yeah, they realized that this wasn't a good road to follow. Yeah, so they decided to create a branding exercise and refurbish their hotels. They even changed the name of the company. They changed it later. They call it Palladium Hotel Group. Yeah, and they started, you know, offering 4-star hotels, 5-star hotels. They started their expansion to Latin America, offering really luxurious and nice resorts and so on. They got into the product and into the service level. And then they started to experience with experiences. Yeah, they got into the experience. They were pioneers in Spain at least of the experience element. They created Ushuaia. Anybody familiar with Ushuaia? Not the Argentinian place. Yeah, Ushuaia, Ibiza. Now they have in Dubai. Yeah, or Hard Rock Hotel, which was a franchise with Hard Rock. Yeah, the old Hard Rock that you know, the restaurants and so on. Yeah, so it's a theme hotel. Yeah, so let me tell you what they did with Ushuaia in particular from a personal experience. I used to own, I don't have it anymore, I sold it a few years ago, a consulting company. We were doing all kinds of management consulting, but we were very much specialized, and our Trojan horse to offer all the products was mystery shopping. You know what mystery shopping is, right? Yeah, for those of you that you don't know what it is an inspector goes to, for example, to a hotel, pretending to be a customer and audits the service of the hotel from a customer's point of view. So I check in the hotel, I go to the restaurant, I do everything as a normal customer for a few days. I stay there, you know. I pretend to be a normal customer, but I'm doing an inspection of the service of the hotel. Being founder of this company, being at the strategic, I'm a professor, so I wasn't working in the company, but I was at the strategic level. But sometimes, you know, some interesting hotels or restaurants or other service company, but normally hotels and restaurants. Let's say that I have a Michelin restaurant, yeah, as a client. So I'm gonna do a mystery shopping in that Michelin restaurant, right? Yeah. So I was the one who brought Palladium as a client. So I said, I want to go to a couple of Palladium hotels. So I went with my family to a Grand Palladium, you know, a 5-star resort, family resort. Yeah. And then I said, I would like to go to Hard Rock because it's an interesting concept and so on. But then they weren't offering Hard Rock was not included in that year, in the hotels to be inspected. I said, okay, I'll go to Ushuaia. I prefer hard rock because I like more the hard rock kind of music or the rock kind of music rather than the clubbing kind of thing and so on. I said, well, Ushuaia looks interesting. I want to be there. This is what Ushuaia looks like. This is the hotel. Ushuaia in Ibiza, now they have in Dubai. You can see, I mean, the decor is very impressive, but then you can see